Hey friends, happy Monday and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Taylor. I'm a stay-at-home wife and mom, and I share What's for Dinner videos like this every Monday to hopefully motivate you to cook more for your family and to give you some new meal ideas. This week I tried a couple new things from TikTok, and then I made some family favorites just to kind of keep things easy. And real quick before we get into the video, I wanted to mention I'm going to have a pretty big announcement later this week, most likely on Friday. It will be in a vlog. It's big. It's probably the biggest news I've ever had. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you have notifications on. I will have a grocery haul up on Wednesday, but then the next video after that will be the big announcement. But let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. Starting off with Friday night, we had a one-pot spaghetti, or as the video on TikTok called it, spaghetti in the style of hamburger helper. Everything is done in this one pot, and it was so easy and really actually pretty good. I will probably make it again to kind of like switch up our spaghetti night because I get tired of the same old spaghetti. I don't even care for spaghetti that much, but my family loves it. So to me, this was great. So I am starting off by browning some ground beef. I seasoned that with some onion salt and garlic powder and Italian seasoning. And then when that was like mostly cooked, I added in some green pepper and red pepper. I was going to do onion too, but I realized I only had red onion and didn't really want red onion in this, so I did not add that. And I cooked that for a couple minutes until the veggies were softened. Then I'm going to add in my sauce. I did 1 jar of pasta sauce, and then I had another one that was like a third of a jar, so I added that as well. And then 3/4 of a jar of broth. I filled it with water and then added in some of the Knorr beef bouillon. And then I also seasoned that with some more garlic powder. I did some minced onion, Italian seasoning, some red pepper flakes, some pepper, and some Parmesan cheese. And then I brought that to a boil. Once it was boiling, I stirred in some uncooked cut in half spaghetti noodles. I did about 10 ounces. The recipe called for 8 ounces, but I had a little bit of extra sauce, so I added in the little bit of extra noodles that I had because it just finished off the box that I had. Once you get those stirred in, then you want to cover this and simmer it. I did it over a medium low for about 15 minutes, and I stirred it every 3 to 5 minutes to make sure that my noodles weren't sticking to the bottom or each other. And you just keep doing that until the pasta is done. For me, it took about 15 minutes. At 15 minutes, I tested a noodle, made sure it was good, and then I stirred in probably about 2 tablespoons of some whipped cream cheese. The recipe recommended stirring in a few heaping spoonfuls of cream cheese or whatever cheese you had. You could do cottage cheese, ricotta cheese, anything like that. I didn't want to do too much because I didn't want my family to be like, it's too creamy, but I did want it to be slightly creamy, so I just did about 2 tablespoons of the whipped cream cheese, got that all mixed in, and then this was ready to eat. I served it with a little bit of mozzarella cheese on top and some garlic bread on the side, and this was delicious. As I said before, I will definitely make it again. Saturday night we had chicken cheesesteaks. This is something that I haven't made in a while. We really like Philly cheesesteaks and chicken cheesesteaks both. It's really pretty quick and easy. The most thing you have to do is cut everything in thin slices. So I have some thin sliced red onion here, thin sliced green pepper, and thin sliced red pepper, and I am just cooking that up in a little bit of oil. I did season it with some salt, and I just cooked those veggies until they started to get tender, and then I added in a little bit more oil and a little bit of butter, and then I'm adding in my thinly sliced chicken breast, and I am seasoning that all over with some salt, pepper, garlic powder, and some Montreal steak seasoning. And I'm just gonna stir fry that basically until everything is cooked through. And then we can start assembling our sandwiches. I have some deli rolls from Aldi, and I put a little bit of mayo on one side after toasting the bread for just a couple minutes so it could get a little bit toasted. And then I put on some of the chicken and pepper mixture and then topped everything with American cheese and stuck it back in the air fryer for about 5 minutes to get the cheese nice and melty. This night, Lily actually didn't want her sandwich assembled. She had a piece of bread and then her chicken and veggies on the side and then some cheese on the side as well, so she could just eat everything separately. And then to go with it, I made some seasoned French fries in the air fryer, and that was dinner for this night. Sunday night, we had tuna casserole. This is, of course, a family favorite that I have shared many times here on my channel. I've actually been doubling the recipe lately because my family is eating more as my kids get older, and then they want leftovers of it too. So this recipe uses 2 cans of cream of chicken soup and a whole bag of egg noodles, and then 4 cans of tuna or something. It's a lot of food, but everybody loves the leftovers. Monday night, we had tacos, just some regular ground beef tacos, white people taco night, as we usually call it. Hard shells is what was requested. Then we also had some rice on the side. This is just a box of rice-a-roni Mexican rice, and then some refried beans as well. Tuesday night, I was just kind of winging it. I made some beef stew meat or beef tips in the Instant Pot. I'm starting off here by heating up a little bit of oil. And then somehow I did not record myself putting the meat in the Instant Pot, but once that oil was hot, I added in the stew meat and seasoned it all over with some salt and pepper and the Montreal steak seasoning from Aldi, or I think it's just called steak seasoning from there, but it's like the McCormick Montreal steak seasoning. And did I say garlic powder and onion powder, and I just let that saute for a couple minutes so it could get kind of seared on the outside. And then once that was done, I added in 2 packets of gravy and 2 cups of beef broth. And then I put the lid on this and turned the Instant Pot to sealing and let this cook on manual high pressure for 35 minutes. And after the 35-minute cook time, I did let this do a natural release, which took about 12 minutes, I want to say. And then once it was done, I opened the lid, gave it a stir, and decided to add in a little bit of cornstarch and water mixture just to thicken up the gravy a little bit. And then I served this over top of some egg noodles, and it was absolutely delicious. I did not feel like making anything else to go with this night, so this was all we had, and it was very good. Wednesday was Andy's birthday, and I made steak, of course, because he loves having steak for his birthday or anniversary or Valentine's Day. So I cooked up some steak. I made some stick butter rice in the Instant Pot, which I've made before. I will have a video of that or a link to the recipe down below. A can of green beans, and then we had cake. This was a funfetti cake with rainbow chip frosting. All right, last meal of the week is another one-pan meal that I found on TikTok. This is like a chicken, broccoli, cheesy rice kind of thing. And you start it on the stove and then it finishes in the oven. So I'm starting off here by sauteing my veggies. I have 1 red onion that I diced, 2 cups of carrots chopped, and about 1.5 cups of broccoli that I chopped. And I am just cooking that up in a little bit of oil. I did adjust this recipe from the original recipe that I will have linked down below. She had you cooking up chicken first and then removing it from the pan and then doing your veggies. But I decided to use some canned chicken just to make it a little bit easier for me. So once my veggies were tender, then I added in 2 tablespoons of butter, let that melt, and then I'm adding in my 2 cans of drained chicken. And then I seasoned that all over with some garlic powder, onion powder, smoked paprika, salt, and pepper. And then I'm going to add in 2 cups of chicken broth, and then I'm going to add a cup of white rice and some shredded cheddar cheese. About 4 ounces of cheese, because the recipe does a total of 8 ounces, but the other half is going to go on the top later. And once that's all added in, give it a good stir, and then this is going to go in the oven on 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. And then I pulled it out and added in 1/3 cup of milk, gave that a good stir, and then I'm going to top this with the rest of that shredded cheese and also a sleeve of Ritz crackers, or I did the Aldi brand of Ritz, and it was like the vegetable ones. I crushed those up and sprinkled them over the top, and then I stuck this back in the oven for about another 5 minutes, and then this was done and ready to serve up. It was delicious. You've got everything you need for a complete meal in there, and it was very good. We'll definitely make this one again as well. that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you got some new meal ideas. If you plan on trying any of the recipes that I mentioned, let me know which ones in the comments down below. Make sure you leave me a smiley face emoji down there in the comments as well to let me know that you made it here all the way to the end. Don't forget, as I mentioned at the beginning, there will be a big announcement on my channel later this week, most likely on Friday. So make sure you are subscribed and have your notifications turned on so you don't miss that video. I hope you'll have a great week, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!